Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's welcome Abba with round of applause.
I'm going to be rude and not introduce myself. You can just read that and do you agree or disagree or you're neutral? If you agree, put your hand up. Who disagrees? Put your hand up. Don't be scared. Who's neutral? Okay. What this highlights is sometimes when we're trying to deal with a new tool or infrastructure platform, it could be an ERC and AIP, we as developers, as people who have to propagate this particular technology, need to know where exactly are we looking at to get the quickest, the most efficient, the most cost-effective, and the best results. And this really highlights it. Clearly, if Isaac Newton was looking into the books, he wouldn't have discovered gravity, or it might have taken a longer time. So now I'll introduce myself. I'll reintroduce myself because I have met some of you here. It's my name. I like to try and pronounce it. It's pretty difficult. So most people call me Ben. You can simply call me Ben if you would like to. And I have dubbed myself as an account abstraction evangelist. I believe that would be a job description for the future. In fact, I actually believe account abstraction developer would be a specific role within organizations. So enough about me. It's not my best picture, so should I put something there, make me look more handsome? So just by a raise of hands, put your hand up if you know what ERC-4337 is. So give or take, I would say that's about, we say 40% of the room. If you've never heard of ERC-4337, don't be ashamed. The door's closed, the windows are shut. Put your hands up. Okay. Put your hand up if you actually implemented ERC-4337. One person, okay. Put your hand up if you're in the process of thinking about implementing it. You've been thinking about it. Okay, fantastic. Well, we're not here in Warsaw today. Oh no, we're not here. We're in Denver, Colorado. It's nice, it's warm, isn't it? Yeah. And today's not the 31st of August. No. It's the 1st of March. It's WalletCon. WalletCon was when we had this exciting news about the integration of ERC-4337 into the mainnet. And you are Vice, one of the co-authors of ERC-4337. He, with Rush and others, introduced it. Massive applause. Everyone excited. Finally, we could go ahead and get millions of onboarding users onto Web3. But since that time, it's kind of not really happened, isn't it? So this talk is not about ERC-4337, because we've had conversations about that. Breakdown of the user ops and the aggregator and the paymaster. No, this talk is about developer challenges on implementing ERC-4337. Really, it's a very small sample survey of speaking to developers that are actively working with ERC-4337 and just trying to give you a very high-level view of some of the challenges. Now, they have classified this as non-tech. Don't blame me. So it's going to be a very high-level view. But this is a taster, because I have a local meetup where over the next couple of months, I'm going to directly speak to these developers, and you can access through Zoom online to hear some of the challenges they had, direct challenges they had in implementing ERC-4337. So don't worry, we're going to make progress. So this is just a summary. If you've never heard about ERC-4337, this is just a summary of the components of it. I want you to really take note of that phrase at the end, contract account. Because in the course of this discussion, and this is discussion, it's not a talk, we're going to come back to the significance of that word contract account. These are just some of the components at the initial stage. I believe there will be subcomponents at some stage, but this is what a lot of people within the industry are working with. And recently we attained 1 million user operations. So if you want to clap for that, I don't know, but people got really excited about it. So that's the core gist of ERC-4337. Now, these are some of the things developers are building. or trying to solve within the field. These are the motivations. These are the reasons why people get up and go to work on Monday and leave excitedly on Friday. So people are trying to bundle transactions, as the case might be. Some are trying to find a way to eliminate seed phrases. The long shortened phrase of ERC-4337 is to eliminate externally owned accounts, which is ambitious. It's a very ambitious undertaking. But this is some things that generally what people are building around, and most things you see people are building with regards to ERC-4337 will fall into one of these several categories. You may hear phrases like gas abstraction, non-subtraction, seed phrase abstraction, and so on and so forth. But it all falls into the bigger ecosystem of implementing those different things of ERC-4337. But the key question is, what are the challenges? Now, I want you to reflect on this, first of all. This ties into every single challenge that we're going to face in building ERC-4337. If I wanted to start out today to become a JavaScript developer, I wanted to start out today to become a C# developer, as the case might be, even if I wanted to come build ERC-20, there's tons of articles, there's tons of courses, there's tons of reference materials, whether it's YouTube, Google, I can refer to actually build a very, very good application. We don't have that situation in ERC-4337. And this next slide will show why. Now, I've put all of them together. Who can guess why? Any rough guess? Why have I put all of this on the same slide? This horrible looking slide. Any guess? Well, the reason is because they all overlap. Some of the challenges with tooling are based around education. Some of the challenges with education are based around information, and vice versa. These are all the challenges. So let's just look at some of the specific challenges. So one of the challenges talking to developers is the request for better libraries in terms of implementing either a paymaster, a bundler, an entry point, or an aggregator, or user op. At this point in time, we have the userup.js from StackUp, which it can be used to implement user ops. But it probably would be nice to see more specific libraries on the level of ether.js or web3.js for the different components of ERC-4337. So that's one challenge for tooling. Improved SDKs is another challenge. And does anybody know of any ERC-4337 companies or startups? Just shout out to them, please. Not really. Yes? ETHWarsaw. Here you go. You want to try again? Maybe, okay, there you go, you, please. Okay, they recently had their wallet ERC-4337 compatible. Let's give it to them, okay? Pimlico, you've heard of them? No, they're not popular in Warsaw. Yes, you go it again. Oh, not really. Any other? Bioeconomy, you heard of Bioeconomy? You definitely heard of Economy. StackUp? No? Doesn't ring a bell. This demonstrates, and this is not to embarrass anyone, this demonstrates that we don't really know a lot about the different works and improvements and infrastructure that are being built around it. So if we don't know it, definitely we won't have a good understanding of the SDKs. And there are challenges in the SDKs. Some of the SDKs have implemented, for example, a bundler, which is a component of ERC-4337, which batch the transactions together, but they've not implemented the paymaster. So if you wanted to use a different platform, you might have to go and pick an SDK for a paymaster here and an SDK for a bundler there, and so on and so forth. You're going back and forth. You're talking to this team, you're talking to that team. So that's one challenge. Also, the range of tools we have are quite limited at this point in time. Just pause and think about the range of tools we have for NFTs. Just think about it. You have NFT wallets. You have the kind of decentralized storage services we use. The list just goes on and on and on and on, or ERC-20. But here we're limited because as it demonstrates, if you're not using StackUp, or you're not using Pimlico, or you're not using Bioeconomy, as the case might be, then you're very limited in what you can use. Then varied components. Varied components, I'm talking about the components of ERC-4337. So talking about a type of bundler, or a type of paymaster, as the case might be, or a type of aggregator. Does anybody know about any bundlers here? Can you name any bundler? It's not a sausage. Do you know what it's called? Yeah, well, good. Yeah, it's called Rundler. Very innovative. So it's called Rundler. Any other bundlers? Do you know of any other bundlers? Voltaire? Have you heard of it? It's not an Italian train station. Yeah. You heard of that? So you can see. So there's a stack-up bundler. The AA Infinitism group itself has a bundler. It's just called the Infinitism bundler. That's what it's called. You have Rundler. You have BlockPi that have just started their bundler. But we don't know about these tools. So if you wanted to come to this hackathon and build something relating to ERC-4337, it might be quite difficult. Another challenge we have is education. Remember, we talked about contract accounts. Is a contract account the same as a smart contract wallet? Is a smart contract wallet the same thing as an account? Is an account the same thing as a smart contract account? If you go through articles on ERC-4337, ranging from Pimlico to StackUp and all across the board, you would see different terminology explaining the same thing. In fact, sometimes some authors will say, at this point, I'm just going to call it account for the simplicity of this article. So we need some kind of agreement on terminology. If it's a smart contract wallet, let's be consistent with it. If it is a smart contract account, let's be consistent with it. If it's just an account, let's be consistent with it. Courses, obviously, they're limited in terms of ERC-4337. There's not too many courses out there that you can actually go at this point in time and have an in-depth information about getting the components of it. Articles is the big one. Who loves to write articles here? Are you a dev? Yeah. Okay, how many devs here, please? Put your hands up if you're a dev. Keep your hands up if you love to write articles. There you go. We dislike writing articles. We love coding, we love building, but we really dislike writing. I don't know why. Don't ask me. So what's happening within the field is that a lot of people are building great projects. They're running into difficulties or solving problems, but they're not writing about it. So for example, this morning I read an article on nonce collision, and they've written one article on it. Now, if they didn't decide to write on nonce collision, and you decided to implement a bundler, and you sent a user up at the same time with the same nonce to two different bundlers, you will potentially have one user up that would be successful and one that will fail. And you'll be wondering why your money is gone. But that's an example. But they've explained ways you can negate nonce collision. So it's important for us to start writing articles. Always remember, please, just writing something is better than not writing anything. If you want me to write it for you, you can get in touch with me. I will help you write it. Now, standardization also. Standardization is interesting because what was set up initially was, if you have to set up a bundler, for those of you that are not aware, bundler is what batches your transactions together. There's a test specification suite you need to pass because there's rules to implementing the bundler. So many people have run ahead. In February this year, there was a big grant. People went, they built bundlers left, right, and center. Everybody just building bundlers. And now we have about 7, 8 bundlers within the ecosystem, but only 3 have passed this test specification suite. So you potentially might be using a bundler that could get griefed or could end up suffering from some kind of front-running attack. So that's the challenge. In terms of information, we don't have too many meetings on ERC-4337. Has anyone here attended the ERC-4337 dev meeting? Have you ever heard of it? Yes? You've heard of it? Yeah, you heard of it? They've had 12 meetings so far. 12 meetings. 12 meetings where people are meeting, discussing pertinent information about ERC-4337, and we are not even in attendance. We don't even know what they're talking about. they're not writing up the notes, you can't access that information anywhere. You can go onto YouTube and Google for it. You can search for it on YouTube. But generally, there's a disconnect between it. If you contrast that with the number of people that, for example, attend the Ethereum development calls, or maybe other kind of calls where there's hundreds of people connecting on Zoom, that means there's a need for us to really get involved. We've never had a summit on ERC-4337. I know some people might say it's ambitious, but at this point in time, it probably would do well to have a summit because ERC-4337 is set to be the way to onboard millions of people, to really truly gain mass adoption. So a summit where people will come together and really discuss about it. The closest we've had to it at ECC was beyond ERC-4337, which was a bit of a day to discuss it, but nothing really in depth. A full hackathon, Gelato tried to run a hackathon, mainly focusing on account abstraction as the bigger picture. But a full hackathon of just trying to use these tools, whether it's a bundler, a paymaster, the different kind of ERC-4337 wallet, to be really helpful. And then obviously an ongoing blog. ETHWarsaw have tried to run a blog on ERC-4337, but it's very generic. It's more around different things happening in account abstraction, and sometimes they just throw a bit of information there just to beef it up. Okay, let's just throw something in there. And then the website. Now, the website one is a funny one. The running joke is the co-authors of ERC-4337, do you know them? Do you know who they are? Not that it really matters. You have Vice, Draw to Rush, and so on and so forth. They have not completed the website up to date. So if you want to help them complete the website, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. There's many sections missing. So there's no way you could go and have a comprehensive information on ERC-4337. So those are the challenges, the core challenges, they're extra challenges. Now, solutions. Build, build, build. You know, remember the song Bills, Bills, Bills? Who will pay my bills, my telephone bills, you know. So build, build, build. We need to start building. We need to start building, making different components compatible with ERC-47. It could be relay app, it could be things on hard hat, it could be on different tools, it could be a front-end app, it could be some kind of sequencer, but we need to be building a little bit more. At this point in time, people are very prescriptive in what they're building in terms of ERC-4337. People are staying within their comfort zone, but we need to be a little bit more ambitious. We need to document our challenges. We've already touched on it. If I'm having a difficulty and I write about it, that means you as a point of reference doesn't need to waste time having the same difficulty, because if I have a good solution to it, you just adopt my solution. Why reinvent the wheel? No need for it, isn't it? That's what we do as developers. We look for good solutions and good practice. Form local meetups. If it's something you're interested in, a local meetup dedicated to ERC-4337 will really help, because if you have that local meetup, everybody coming there has a dedicated purpose, and you get more out of it. Participate in hackathons. Now, at this hackathon, there is a section on account abstraction. Maybe it touches on ERC-47. Is anybody planning to attempt for the bounty? Brave man. A man after my own heart. Yes, I know, it's difficult. I tried to utilize the trampoline wallet at ETH Paris. It took me 2 days. It was pretty difficult. They were missing a few scripts in the end, so it was difficult. But try to implement it to some degree in your application. Even if you're calling it ZK proofs or layer 2 scaling solutions or whatever your special interest is, or DeFi, see if you can just use a paymaster. See if you can implement a bundler to batch your transactions. Then also, joining Discords. The Infinities in Discord is the Discord that has the most prominent conversations. There is a great Telegram group where you can go in and have really, really good discussions about it. And then also there are other particular areas you can go to and get involved in the conversation. Apologies. So, sorry for that. So yes, join the discourse group. Like I said, the infinitism group is very, very good. It can get really technical heavy, but don't feel intimidated by it, and take part in the conversations. An ambitious wants to organize a summit on ERC-4337. Some may argue on account abstraction, which is the bigger ecosystem. So that's potentially a goal. If anybody's interested in joining me to organize a summit at some point, you can come to Leicester, the most beautiful city in the world, eat some good British bread if you would like, and then we could have a fun day. Yeah, but that's a plan, and we can get grants for it. So don't worry, you will get your expenses covered. So a day where we can get people, some of the challenges of implementing paymaster and bundlers and so on and so forth. Communication with teams. Sometimes we're reluctant to communicate our views back to the startup team because we feel they're busy, but it's quite important that we do speak to them about challenges. If I've had a difficulty with, say, for example, sending certain amount of transactions in terms of their bundler, they would like to know, because ultimately at the lower scale, it wouldn't matter, but probably at the bigger scale, there might be severe consequences to it. Network, please. So please talk to each other. If you want to come and speak to me at the end, I am open, I'm free, I'm friendly. You can come and speak to me, and we can have a conversation about it. So these are some solutions. Remember, these are prescriptive solutions. You, as you work on it, as you use it, implement it, you would come across other better, maybe more improved solutions than mine. And you may even face a wider range of challenges. But please document these challenges. So if we come back to where we started from, where do we need to be looking to solve the problems of ERC-4337? I hope this discussion has given you an insight of where to look. You need to look outside the window and maybe not into the books. Thank you very much.